sometimes the universe kind of forces you into something.
What would I want on my gravestone?
Get a lot more engagement when I'm just showing up as me.
Could have completely wrecked me.
The ultimate gift that I've gotten from each risk is the courage to take the next risk.
No fucks giving evolution.
And not feel like you have to constantly be up leveling.
The strangest trauma response ever.
But what if I take it a little further?
I want to know that something that I'm doing is actually working.
I don't have to kill it all the time.
She used to take a shovel and she'd hit the plant.
A lot of times the reaction has nothing to do with you.
It affected how I viewed every other risk.
Live soft, but love hard.
I can still create a media empire if I want.
No dress code, no rules, just BYOU. It's time to tell society that it's a taboo. You can be the youest you here in the Naked Room.
Verdict is out on the Solar Ray magnesium powder. It was so good. I was like,
Really?
wait a second. Yes. It's like, it has this like, it tastes like it has like a hint. It's like the best lemon water you've ever had. Like when we'd go to the spa and we'd get like the little lemon water.
Yeah.
It's like that. It's like very refreshing. It doesn't have any sort of like fake additive, any flavor in it. I don't even know if it's lemon or just like citrus. It's like this faint citrus. So I mixed it in a glass of water and I used it to wash down all my other stuff. And we have a discount code they gave us.
We do. We'll drop it in it's the Naked Room. Just all caps,
Easy.
like we're screaming at you, the Naked Room.
The
No.
Naked Room.
The Naked Room. We'll put it in the show notes too.
Yeah,
But
I think it's like
20% off.
20%.
20% off. Yeah. It makes a big difference, especially if you're ordering like $200 worth of product. What up, Naked Room? Jamie Lynn and I are here with one of our friends, Ambra Hubert, who is one of our guests that we are very excited about. She is one of my favorite LinkedIn accounts. She talks about real life and reinventing yourself and not asking for permission. And it resonated so hard. I recently did something that this newsletter she's putting out called Permission Slips. So I want to hand it over to you to introduce yourself in whatever way you would like.
Oh, well, thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Jamie Lynn. I'm really excited to be here. The minute I heard about your podcast, also through a LinkedIn connection, I went and watched it and suddenly felt so seen. And I think your voices and what you guys are doing is amazing. So, and very much connected to what I'm doing with Permission Slips. It's an era we're living in and an era of life, especially I think for us in this room of what does the future look like? And we'll probably get into that. But for me, how did I get to this point is I've had kind of three main phases of my career. And the first phase was indie fashion designer, theater designer, costume. Everything I did was art related. It didn't matter to me whether I was making any money. It didn't matter if I had a 5-year plan. Nothing mattered to me except for art. And to me, that's how I saw my life playing out. And then at a certain point, I realized, no, it actually is important that I make money and maybe I should get serious. And I think a lot of people find this at whatever point. Some people find it because their family has forged that for them early on. I had to find it a little bit later. And that's when I went to my corporate phase of my career and like really jumped in and thought that was bee's knees at the time. I was like, oh, look what I can do. And then after it was into the startup space and not so much as a founder, but working in startups and really a whole different kind of Wild West energy. And all of that sort of created who I am now, in addition to all of my all of the personal stuff that has brought me to my late 40s, which have been many ups and downs. And it's been interesting. This is another reason why I started Permission Slips, to realize how alone it can be, like how alone you can feel when you're going through these things. And the world shows you a script. The world shows you a way that you have to be. And I have done a lot of soul searching also because I want to write a memoir and I want to do creative work. But I had all of this period of silence, corporate fear about not showing your personality and different things like that. And now I'm like, screw that. I want to be myself. I want to be a creative again. And so now I feel like I'm stepping out into the world again, the same as I was when I was 25, but with 20 more years of wisdom to be creative in a world that has so much more room to be creative. I feel like I'm just on the other side of realizing I can still create a media empire if I want. I don't have to be looking at what's at the end of the tunnel. I have to take those blinders off and realize that as many times as I've reinvented myself so far, I can keep doing that, and it's fun and exciting and cool.
Yeah.
Preach.
Yes, preach. I mean, I left corporate like 2 years ago, and Jamie Lynn has definitely, like, she's gone all over the place and gotten a lot of different experience. I think there's so much programming around, especially as women, feeling like we can't really do what we want to do at a certain point. I love that you are breaking that down and you are focusing on saying, fuck it, I'm going to go over here and do this thing. And even if it doesn't work out, I'm going to be fine. And it's going to lead me to the next thing. So it's super inspiring to see. Do you want to answer one of these questions that we have here to
I'm so
kick
excited.
off?
I'm so curious.
Good.
Okay. So I have 1 and I have 2.
I'm going to pick number 1.
Okay. You have chosen to take lots of risks in your life. What are some unexpected gifts that have come from this journey?
That's such a great question. And appropriate. I'm sure the other one would have been just as good too. I think one of them is kind of where I'm at right now, is sort of embodying it again. Like, I feel like I'm like a cat. Like, I've had 9 lives and just reinvention and reinvention and reinvention. And a lot of times not really by choice. And so one of the things I've learned, like, through all of those almost sometimes patterns, is the wisdom of sometimes the universe kind of forces you into something, and it feels like the reinvention is a mode of survival.
Yeah.
And I want to choose differently. And knowing that you can actually use all those same skills of, managing ambiguity and uncertainty and adaptability and things I'm so good at, that I've learned through all my different stages of career and ups and downs in life. And like, I can use those skills, but not just to survive. I can use them to create something that's incredible. And I think a big part of that is, I actually was just talking to a friend about it today, going back to the parts of ourselves that we love so much that we might feel like we kind of lost along the way, and reclaiming that part of you, but with the wisdom that you have now. Not feeling like they're lost along the way and like, oh, I wish I could. I mean, that's part of the aging, especially as a women journey too, is looking forward and honoring who we were and not comparing ourselves to our younger selves, but the whole of who we are now.
Yeah.
I think all of the risks I took taught me that rebound is inevitable. And if you're looking to go backwards, that's how you get stuck. You need to just keep looking forward.
Yeah. Well, what's an example of a way that you've rebounded? Like, that you didn't expect necessarily? Because I think that's helpful for people to know that, like, even if you fail, sometimes it leads you in a direction that ends up being way better for you.
Yeah. I was watching one of your earlier podcasts, and the question was, are you more afraid of success or failure?
Oh, yeah.
And I answered it in my head, and it was, I think I'm comfortable with failure. And there's danger in being comfortable with failure. It's not necessarily the same as being afraid of success. It's like sometimes we just want to be comfortable. So in terms of rebounding, I'll give you an example. I feel like something I realize I do in terms of my fitness, so very concrete, is I'll work out just to the point where I'm like really feeling it, feeling my body. I'm excited about my progress. And then I feel like, well, I can relax now, rather than like, why not go to the next level? And the only time I'll push something to the next level is out of necessity, but not out of a gift to myself. Like, why not push it to the next level and see what you're capable of? In how you dress, how you look, how you speak, how you write. I always go to the edge, and then I'm kind of like, I call myself a bit of a turtle in this way. And so if anything, it taught me that, first of all, stop doing that. Like, part of permission and part of taking risks is to go farther than you think you need to.
I love that you tied that back to like fitness as an example, because I follow a fitness influencer, Alicia E, I think her name is. We'll tag her in the notes, but she made a video the other day that she's constantly talking about progressive overload when it comes to fitness, right? Like, especially as women in our 40s, like that's a really big piece of getting to that next level, is like picking up weightlifting and things like that, and not just like sticking to cardio or whatever it is. But she tied it back into our life as well. Like, if you want to go further or evolve in your life, sometimes you have to use progressive overload in the things that you do in your career or in your relationships or in the whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And it resonated with me a lot, because I think that I also can get comfortable in failure, like you said, where it's like, well, you know, that's I'm used to it, or I know what that feels like. And it's just an interesting concept to be like, yeah, like, okay, I know that I'm capable of that and I got there and I achieved that. But what if I take it a little further? Like, what does it feel like to push it and not be afraid of the outcome of that, but more curious about it?
I could answer your question even more personally. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much I'm going to share, but I think I'm going to share more with you guys here today.
Bring it on. It's the
Good.
naked room.
Yeah. So the thing that instigated me entering the corporate world was, and it didn't have to do with corporate. But that's kind of shorthand now for like a 9 to 5 or whatever. But really, it was just, you need a real job. And I had been married, went through a divorce, and then a very, very nasty custody dispute, international, very difficult, like could have completely wrecked me. Like it did in a lot of ways at certain points in my life, lots of ups and downs. And as a result, I became a long distance mom for most of my child's life. So big part of my lore. As a result, now I'm like, well, now I need to prove myself in all these ways and like become a model citizen. And that was how I started I need to get like a corporate job and get a 401k and like get all my little things in order. One of the things that I decided to do, which I realize now was like the strangest trauma response ever, was I did a TED Talk. I applied to do a TED. I'm still like recovering from all of this, and I'm really killing it in my new corporate job as an executive assistant to the CEO, and like doing really well, because as my past as an artist, I really didn't really care about rules that much. And so that means you kind of have this trick in your pocket where you do whatever it takes to get things done. The show must go on. So that was like an advantage for me. So I'm in my first year of doing this, and now I'm like reading all of this new literature from Harvard Business Review. And this is my world. I'm going to kill it. It's going to be great. And I'm going to do a TED Talk. So I did this TED Talk, but it was not very good. I was not very prepared, like emotionally and mentally, just in every way, I was not prepared for it. And I was so afraid to fail that I didn't practice at all. And I wrote a talk that I managed to deliver. So I'm proud I did it. I'm proud I went on stage and I did it, because I almost fully chickened out. And now I can be proud of it. But for a long time, I didn't even tell anyone I did it, because I was like, I don't want anyone to go watch it. It's terrible. Blah, blah, blah. Because I knew also the person who got on that stage was this like very traumatized version of me. And it wasn't the whole person I wanted to show to the world. And so it was just such a weird thing and weird response to failure. But I think ultimately why I call it trauma response is like this. I had this deep primal failure in life relative to my motherhood. And now I like wanted to overcorrect it. And I think sometimes that overcorrection can be painfully embarrassing, but might be the thing. Like it might be what you need to, in sort of like the progressive overload to shift focus and change your paradigm.
Yeah.
I love doing this exercise. So I did this with Curtis once, and Jamie Lynn and I have talked about this before, where we go through and talk about hindsight of things that have worked out in ways that we weren't expecting, and how a lot of times it ended up working out better than we were expecting. And it sounds like while you're going through a situation that's really difficult and painful, it's awful and you want to push it away. But then once you get through it and you weather the storm, you also get to go back and say, okay, I ended up in this place that I wasn't expecting and I'm now better for it. So do you feel like you have any of those takeaways from what you went through at this point?
Definitely. Two things in particular. One is, in general, with risk, bringing back to your earlier question, is if you can just say, like, figure out what's the worst that could actually happen. Like, what are the actual stakes here?
Yeah.
Most of the time, they're not nearly as bad as what you're imagining, but not even really articulating. It's
Right.
just the unknown, which is so scary, right?
Yeah.
Or the imagined response from your family or whatever it is that you're moving against, right? And a lot of times it's also so then that's the one side that's like the yin of it. And then there's the yang of it, which is sometimes things don't work out and you fall on your ass. And that was one of the things I had to just carry all the time with my custody situation, was just deep shame of failure in my motherhood. And I have a great relationship with my kid and all of that. It wasn't like I lost custody of my kid. And a lot of times there's so much misunderstanding about those kinds of things, and culturally, mothers versus fathers, who gets favored, and a very complicated situation, international, et cetera. So, because I carried that with me, it affected how I viewed every other risk. And it's so interesting how it can be. That was my story, but I think everyone has whatever their thing is, whether it's their family's expectations or cultural expectations we don't even know that we have. Like, I didn't calculate all of this when I said I'm going to become a mom. I didn't calculate it at all. When you get married, I think a lot of people now culturally will calculate divorce and, all that kind of stuff more just because it's culturally prevalent. But when you're getting married, you're not thinking about that, and I'm just picking that as an example because so many people can relate to it. But it could be anything. It could be a choice in profession, taking that risk to then leave corporate. And then I went into consulting for a little while. Consulting meaning just like freelance jobs. And I didn't know if that was going to work out. It kind of didn't. I kind of didn't know what I was doing. And so then I went and got another job. And I really did really well at that because I know how to apply those skills. And I think it's okay. I think this is the other thing it's okay to say, I don't have to kill it all the time. Meaning like be an ultra performer. Our media landscape right now and my algorithm is full of it. I worked at a company which is all about empowerment. I did empowerment coaching for over 4 years with people. Saw amazing results, help people change their lives in incredible ways. So I'm not like a naysayer at all. But sometimes it's okay to just see things as they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be present and exist and not feel like you have to constantly be up leveling. It's really exhausting. You have to just tap out sometimes. You have to just give yourself a break and give yourself some grace. Jamie Lynn, you've taken a lot of risks in your life. And I'm just curious to know what unexpected gifts you've gotten from any risks that you've taken. Maybe you got like one or two, just kind of
honestly,
stocked up in your mind.
I think that the ultimate gift that I've gotten from each risk is the courage to take the next risk. Like it's just like created a, storm or snowball effect, I guess, like, because you wrestle with whether or not this is something you should do. And like, what, like you were saying, what could happen, or, what are the stakes? And when you take the risk and whether or not it's successful, you're like, oh, but I did it and I'm still here and I'm okay, And so it just, I guess a lot of my risks were more like, moving and just trying out new places when I didn't know I kind of vagabonding and for a lot of my life. And I just knew that I would regret, and this works for most things. I know personally for me, in most cases, I'll regret something more if I don't do it and I don't know than if I do it and I fail. And so I think that's the biggest gift that I learned from, just the handful of first risks. I don't know how far back that goes, probably to when I was even just like younger and, racing dirt bikes and stuff when I was little. But like, I think just like doing something and being scared of it, but doing it anyway. And then just being like, okay, I didn't die. Like I'm still here. And, and whatever it is, that's just been the biggest gift. What about you, Kelly?
Me?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, the one that stands out the most is leaving corporate. So that was 2 years ago. And I talked about that a lot in my permission slip in the newsletter that Ambra does. I was in corporate and now I'm not. And here we are. And I have no idea what's coming next. But that's okay. So I guess some of the unexpected gifts in that journey is it's mostly about the internal journey that I've been on, the things that I've learned about myself and the things that I would never have learned had I had just stayed the course and not asked questions and not questioned the status quo and chose to put myself into uncertainty. And it's not comfortable, but somehow there's been a net and it's like worked itself out up until now. I feel like I'm supported, and that's been an incredible gift of just knowing that there's something to land on. I like that the conversation around being curious instead of fearful, like turning that on its head, because a lot of people go to being fearful. Curiosity just feels so positive to me. And I think if we can kind of change the messaging and look at it as I'm just interested to know what's going to come next instead of I'm afraid. I don't know. Have you done that, Ambra? Have you gotten something out of thinking that way? I feel like you're mostly a curious person and not so fearful.
Very much more curious. I think I think I was maybe cautious as a kid, some people raised with more cautious environment, and I boomeranged a little bit more back into fear as I got older, but I'm trying to backtrack and remember my essential nature is curious and optimistic, so that I will just say yes to things. I'll say yes way more, like 9 out of 10, maybe more than that. And I'll say no to an opportunity which may or may not work out. And I sometimes, if I'm feeling down on myself, I'll say, haven't you learned your lesson, or something along those lines, if I'm about to take a risk or have taken a risk that doesn't go well. And it's not productive. Those are moments. And then there's also, but like the amazing amount of rich experiences that I've had as a result of, I'm much like you, Jamie Lynn, I've moved a lot. I've lived in a lot of places, and it's sort of what's the right word for that? It's like, I'm thinking cat eating its own tail. That's not the right image, but
something like that. No, I'm like,
it's a good image.
I don't know what that is.
Snake eating
like
its own tail.
It's like a chain. Once you start, you kind of can't stop. It's hard to stop moving. You can. I'm not saying you can't. I've been trying to stop moving for a few years, and it just
you took the red pill basically, and you opened up a door, and now you can't close it again.
Exactly.
It does feel like that. Yeah. That's funny. It's a good way to put it.
When you tell yourself, I'm going to settle down now, and this is the right, or favorable, not even right, wrong, but just like maybe the new thing for me, the choice that I've always been missing out on. And maybe that, like, part of the wisdom of risk taking is maybe that's not true.
I don't think I don't know. I've had to kind of wrestle with that too. And I don't know. Lately, maybe it's just getting older, or just like being a nature lover. I feel like I always tie it back to plants or something. And when that used to be, like, oh, I'm a wildflower, I'll just like kind of thrive anywhere, like put me in a crack of pavement, whatever. And now, as you're saying that, I'm thinking about, probably because I've been like prepping my gardens, I'm like, if you put the same plant in the same soil year after year, it doesn't thrive the same, like you have to amend that soil or move that plant, or or it might still be alive, but it's not going to thrive in the ways that it could if you put it in a different environment. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, kind of to the tune of what you were saying, Kelly, about how, turning fear on its head to make it curiosity. I feel like I've had to do that with turning failure and turning that on its head and reframing that as resilience and knowing that that's so powerful and so valuable, like building strength. And again, like here I am, let me tie it back to a plant again, but like I feel like I'm really in my era right now of gardening.
Me too.
But like tomato plants, like I worked for a woman once and she used to take a shovel and she'd hit the plants. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like,
What?
they grow better if you like give them like
Abuse them?
if you abuse them, and they have to get stronger. So when there's like windy days and whatever, like things that would normally take them out, it kind of programs them to build this resilience so that the little things don't keep them from growing. And I think that's just so cool to relate it back to us as humans, because it's kind of relatable.
Do you want me to come beat you with a shovel?
Yeah, I mean, I've had enough stuff, I think, in my life. I've had enough shovels in my life that I think that's what's gotten me to this point. But I think about that, like, and I feel like you can pick them out now. You can probably look at different humans and be like, nobody's ever beat them with a shovel.
Yeah. So I actually really love this example in terms of what I said before. Like the dandelion growing in the concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's survival oriented adaptability.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
there's intentionally changing the soil and knowing like maybe it's your nature to, switch and change environments and that or take a little, friendly abuse at the gym or whatever. Like
Yeah.
to progressive overload and all the things that we learn are helpful for us to maintain our bodies, and not in all the ways, mental, emotional, physical, lose tonality, vitality. Are you familiar with like the cool girl archetype?
I think
It kind of
so.
has to do with, I think it could be a little bit bigger than what I'll get into here, but relative to the dandelion example, it's sort of not letting anything bother you and being lower maintenance. Like, I don't need a lot. I'm cool. I don't need a lot of emotional support. I'll just, in some instances, it might be like, I'll just play video games with you and hang out, and I don't need anything else. I'm just a cool girl. There's a really good monologue about cool girl in Gone Girl, the movie and book by Gillian Flynn. And the dandelion reminds me of that whole with the little bit of dirt. It's like, I don't need much to survive. Look what I can do. And I feel like I did that a lot. Very sort of phoenix energy, adaptability under duress, and feeling powerful because you could make magic out of nothing. And that's very creative artist type of mentality. But it's usually by necessity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going through a long-term process right now of feeling like I'm in gratitude for being in a place where I am being pushed, but I also feel really angry at the universe sometimes too. And I'm like, come on, just give us a sign. Is there a pulse? Like, I want to know that something that I'm doing is actually working and it's meaningful.
At the beginning of this, you said I'm one of your favorite LinkedIn accounts.
Yes.
Okay. After I got laid off from my last job, which is when I started to really get active on LinkedIn, I, for 6 months straight, literally crickets.
Yep.
And even beyond that, but to the point where anyone would look at me and say, why are you doing this? This is really not working. And the truth is, if I had kept doing what I was doing, I would be in the same place probably.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily the same thing as it is for, let's say, podcasting, but I realized I had brought in my own preconceived notions of what it meant to be successful on LinkedIn as a poster.
Yep.
Poster, like as someone who has an account that's loved and adored and has all the reactions and comments and everyone wants to buy your product, that sort of thing. And I figured that was going to be the way I did that. And I needed to build credibility and start building a network. Well, my background is in community, and I was talking about community, but I was thinking of LinkedIn as a platform. like a show, not an interactive thing. And all
Yeah.
of the how to grow, how to build for LinkedIn is get in the DMs, talk to people, comment, but it's all like a numbers game. It's like how to game the platform and how to sell more on LinkedIn. Well, I wasn't, first of all, it's not my spirit. It's not the way I do things as a community person. But I realized I was wrong. I wasn't approaching LinkedIn like a community.
Mm,
And the
yeah.
minute I started approaching LinkedIn the way I would approach a community, like a digital community that I would help someone else build or for myself, that's when things started taking off. And that's when I started permission slips. That's when I did the weird professional zine. That's when I started like, and I'm not like a huge account, but I have, I think relative to my followers, like pretty good engagement, but it's
Yeah.
only just like really started peaking up. And I feel good about it now because I have real conversations with people.
Yes.
And I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. So anyone who's trying to do it through, AI automated comments and things like that to systematize it, which I understand the need for it because it is a time suck the way they have organized the platform. That's not how I would want to do it because I'm actually building relationships just like this one.
Yeah. Yeah, the AI commenting is so inauthentic too, and people can sniff it out from a mile away. And I'm with you with LinkedIn specifically. I have just started leaning into posting what's coming up for me and what feels really authentic instead of trying to follow somebody else's rules or somebody else's advice. And I have noticed that I get a lot more engagement when I'm just showing up as me because people can feel that.
I remember when you made that shift, when you were like, I think I want to just start, like being a little less like corporate, like you were saying, like, because it was so,
Yeah.
it seems like that platform was that, like, that's what, it represented for so long. But it feels like both of you and other people are starting to feel like it's like just screaming for more authentic, like authentic, genuine content. And
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it very much is. And there's a lot of people on there. There are a lot of artists. There's a lot of people who are realizing that they can actually stand out amid the noise because the content that they're posting is so unique. So it's empowering to see it. And with everything shifting and changing, like the ground shifting from under us, it's like we have to really, there's a lot of open space, I think, for these different types of conversations and this different type of content. I think people are really going to be craving it even more. Like the community aspect you're talking about, Ambra.
Yeah.
People are craving that more than they have in decades. I feel like I want to ask this other question, even though I know we were supposed to just do one or two.
You would double it up.
But I feel like we've got a little bit of time left. So I'm like, this one feels really relevant and I'm very excited to talk about it. As women in our 40s, all three of us, we start to hear that it's too late for us. How are you reprogramming and pushing back on that messaging?
It's a good one.
Man, it is definitely a reprogramming.
Yes.
And I feel like there's layers to it. There's the meme level or, easy coaching, Instagram coaching level of it. And then there's the every day I look at my face in the mirror level. And some days I love it. And some days I hate it. And I don't want to admit that, but it's still true. Actually had something interesting happen this morning. I'm trying to create content right now for Instagram and it's new to me. So I'm kind of digging through my phone to find stuff that I can use. And I found a photo that I took of myself. It was last year and it was early in the morning. I was getting on a bus to get on a train, to get on a plane, and I had no makeup on. And I took this selfie because of where I was. It was significant for me. And I remember when I looked at it, I was just appalled because what I saw, and it depends on as you guys know, it depends on the light, depends on everything, your hydration level. Some days you see it more, some days you see it less. And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting so old. Like, this is just real talk, right? And I don't look like that right now on camera. So anyone who's watching that and saying, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, sometimes you see it and more than others. And I remember looking at the photo multiple times and just being like, swipe left. I don't want to look at that. I don't like it. I hope no one ever sees it, sort of thing. But I'm not going to delete it either. Like, it's for me. And then today I found the photo again, almost exactly a year later, 11 months later. And I saw it, and I know it must mean I must have done some good inner work in the past year, because I saw it and I thought, this is a beautiful self-portrait.
Oh,
That's awesome.
And it's not because I looked pretty or I looked young or any of these,
yeah.
it's because I felt like in that particular picture where I was and the weathering that you could see on my face, I was showing inside on the outside. And I wouldn't trade all of my wisdom and hard knocks that I've been knocked around in this life, and I wouldn't trade it to go back. And I think that's so important for older midlife women to make sure to remember ourselves, especially in this transitional moment, because we're not there yet. Like, we're not 60 yet. We're not, we're in the no fucks giving evolution. Every day we give less fucks about certain things and maybe more about other things. But I don't know how long it's going to take me to fully embrace what aging is going to look like on the outside. But I definitely embrace what it looks like on the inside. And I love to support younger women. Like, I love it. I want to be the coolest auntie. Like, that's the energy I want to bring to the world, where I'm just like cheering you on and opening the door for you if I can, even in small ways that I can, I there's so much around women in the workplace, for example, of, spots are so limited for women that it's kind of a dog eat dog world and they're not good to each other. And fuck that. Even if
Yes.
it has been true, it doesn't need to be true anymore. It just doesn't need to be true in any other part of life either.
Yeah, that's a relic of the patriarchy too.
Yeah.
Like, that
Yeah.
goes back so far. And if we aren't supporting each other as women, we're perpetuating the programming of the patriarchy. So I love that you looked back at the photo of yourself and appreciated you
It
in
felt
it.
good. I would like to share one more thing though, because I brought it really focused on the physical, just because it's so real. It's just the time. It's just real talk. But I saw, maybe I'll find it and you guys can share it in the links. Someone shared something really powerful yesterday around that, because someone on Instagram, another account I don't know, said something along the lines of what I did, like grieving her youthful face sort of thing. And another woman stitched into it and challenged it in a very wonderful way. I just loved it so much. And she basically made a list of all of the various things that we deal with, basically programming stuff that take away from our life in some way. And then what was the opposite that was happening now as a result of our aging. And it was giving us something on the other side. And
That's
so
beautiful.
these are things that you
Yeah.
can look forward to and enjoy about life now that you're not doing that anymore. It was great.
I want to
I
see
saved it.
that.
I'll send it to you guys to share.
Yeah, we love having this conversation around the, like, what it feels like as a woman to be in the midst of, I mean, we're all aging every moment, but just the way that aging feels now versus what it did maybe in the 80s and 90s, and how that's shifted. And I'm really grateful to be aging now versus then, because the narrative has changed so much.
Yeah.
There's still lots of room for improvement, but it's gotten a lot better. I love some of these TikTok accounts with like these 80-year-old women who are just fabulous, like dressing in gorgeous colors, and they're just got these big cool glasses on, and they're just owning it, and they're giving out their wisdom to people. And that's what we need. We need that, for women to feel empowered as they're aging and just owning it.
And not wait till they're 80 to do so.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like I think of that where I'm like, oh, I love that. And wait, what does that mean? Like, I don't, I think that
Yeah.
happens a lot where they're like, now I feel like I finally, don't
Yeah.
care. And I want to subscribe to that earlier than 80, which that's my goal.
I think that's a
Me
great
too.
goal. Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. On that note, this is our new, I think we're going to ask this question on every episode now. Choose one thing to celebrate about yourself.
I love this. Celebrating yourself, celebrating in general is so healing. And finding the smallest things to celebrate can be really healing too. You don't have to wait for the biggest thing. I'm a very loving person. And I think life has sometimes given me all the excuses to harden. And the fact that I haven't hardened and I've continued to be soft and loving despite that, or maybe because of it too, was something I'm really happy about. Like, that's a gravestone thing for me.
That's a
Love
beautiful
that.
celebration.
Yeah.
What about you, Jamie Lynn?
Now you have me thinking like, okay, what would I want on my gravestone? I've changed to that. I'm like, I like that. Okay. I mean, that resonates with me so much, just to kind of like live soft, but love hard, and not give up on that. I think that's kind of been part of my journey too, not to snatch it from me, but I think I feel that too, where compared to some people that I meet throughout the world and how much they carry and they don't let go of, I think I guess I celebrate that through everything I've been through. I feel like I, for the most part, have been pretty consistent about taking with me the good from the past and not dragging with me the things that don't serve me. Not in a way that I don't recognize them and appreciate the lessons from them, but I guess more, going past it in a way where I don't let it keep weighing me down. I find a way and pieces and, sections of it that feel like it will fuel the journey forward and not, create dead weight or luggage that I don't need to be bringing with me. And I don't know. I think that I didn't think that was that different, but sometimes you meet people and you're like, whew, okay, like still carrying that. Like I get it. And it's hard to sometimes like drop it and let it go and put it down, or, see the good in the lesson, even though there's so much pain in it. And I think that it's worth celebrating when you find the ability to see the good in it and keep going.
That one resonates with me too. Both of you are saying things that resonate. I'm going to celebrate the fact that I can look back and see how much I have improved internally as far as being more gentle on myself. I used to have a really tough inner critic. I've done a lot of personal work. I've done a lot of meditating, mindfulness exercises and work. And with the wisdom that I have gained over the years, it's also allowed me to take what I've learned and not be so hard on myself through circumstances where I probably would have been really hard on myself when I was 20. And it's kind of similar to what Jamie Lynn's saying, like not dwelling on things, not bringing things with you. Like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, there would have been something that someone said to me and I would have taken it with me for a really long time and not let it go. It would have taken my energy and my power. And now I can say, oh, I acknowledge that really bothered me, and then be able to move on from it. So that feels like a good, those are good snaps.
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 Yeah.
Yes.
That is one of the things I would say I celebrate in general about older, wiser, and maybe some people get here sooner, but letting other people's things but be their things and not.
Yes.
And maybe the internet has also taught me that. I used to be really afraid of posting stuff online, and I've gone through multiple phases of trying out the brave persona of, selfies and posts. And, I was in all these old like coaching groups and coaches selling to coaches, selling to coaches. Everyone was promoting themselves constantly. And it sort of became a culture. And then shying back when maybe I felt less certain about life and not really sharing as much. And then maybe sharing more again on a private account. Like I've had these different phases. And now that was based off of fear, 100%. And now I don't have the same need to regulate other people's problems.
That's so freeing.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. Being able to let that part go. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just realizing that, yeah, everyone has their own traumas that they're coming to a conversation with or a relationship with. And a lot of times their reaction has nothing to do with you, even though it feels like it. And it's easy to take it personally. Good job, all of us,
Yes.
for being
Here we
such
are. 40 fabulous.
If you're listening, share it with someone. Then we have more people.
Yeah, exactly. Share it. Like, subscribe, share.
Yes.
Give us a 5-star review everywhere.
The Naked Room podcast is brought to you by hot coffee, cold showers, grit and determination, the power of being a woman.
We'd like to thank ourselves. This is a self-run operation. We have done all of this on our own, other than with the help of our hot sound guy, my husband, Curtis Keeper, who curated all of our equipment and got us up and running.